Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Batman Arkham City Hard Plus video walkthrough. And what this is exactly, to make it clear for people, is this is a New Game Plus, which is a harder version of the original game. The compromise is you get to carry in all your upgrades and all that good stuff, but before I mention, right there you have to counter that guy when he comes in. You also have to rock your way out of the chair, but you've probably already played it once, or if you're just getting through the game, it isn't as obvious as you'd think, but it is still really cool. So if you rock left and right, you'll eventually fall out of the chair, and on the New Game Plus, you do not have the counter indicators, so countering the guy when he kicks, just press it when he goes to wind up, and you shouldn't have too much of an issue of doing the very first few encounters. But this is the introduction, and it is an interesting one, so do bear with it. But back to as I was saying, it's New Game Plus, so enemies will come in different groups. They'll also be more difficult early on. Enemies will be better equipped early on, and you'll fight completely different groups than what you would normally, just to make the challenge a little bit more difficult. Also, none of the counter emblems will pop up when somebody's about to attack you, so that is probably the more difficult thing about it. This is also on hard, so this is a hard game. Hard difficulty, New Game Plus, which I'm just going to say hard plus difficulty video walkthrough or something at the start, just to make it nice and basic. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a couple of other things that I'm going to be doing that I'm going to be neglecting to make it a little bit more challenging and a little bit more entertaining. I will not be upgrading my batsuit when it comes to my armour or my ability to take damage. The only problem with this is halfway through the game you're going to see at the top of the screen it says level up in big bold letters and these lovely green flashing emblems, and it never goes away. You have to spend the point. There is nothing you can do to make the fucking thing go away. I tried turning off all the HUD, I tried turning off help, I tried turning off everything. I tried going in and examining things and not buying them and coming out, and the damn thing was still there, so I do apologise about that. But this section here, you've got to counter these guys, watch for when they start to attack, then press Y as you normally would. There's definitely a knack to it, but you'll get used to it the more you play. I played Arkham Asylum on hard twice, so I played it a lot and I kind of got used to it, but I must say, coming off a hard with the indicators on and then going into New Game Plus, it's definitely a hell of a lot more challenging because you don't realise how much you rely on the ability to see those counters coming. But yeah, it kind of sucks how you can't get rid of that upgrade thing, but that's just a couple of the things you're going to be seeing in this walkthrough. I will not be doing any side quests or getting any trophies or anything like that. It is purely how to beat the game, and if you're struggling on any of the bosses and things like that. But this area here, once he puts the knuckle duster on, you can actually counter his punch. I didn't realise because I was too busy watching it, and then I clicked on after about 2 smacks that I'm supposed to stop this. So as he winds up, press Y and you'll counter him, and then you go into a fight with his boys. So at first you don't have your hands free to do your full movements, but you can counter, you can punch, just be careful, and eventually you'll do an animation where you knee a guy in the face. It might be slightly different every time, but once you do that you will break your handcuffs and you'll be able to do the moves. The only problem is, I just came off of challenge mode when I came into this, so I start trying to do all sorts of different moves and I don't have them right now, so just keep it simple, use your punch kick combos, use your counters, and just watch your opponents. A really good way of not taking damage and keeping your combo meter going if you're not confident in counters or you think there's too many people above you is to just bash A when you're in an animation, because as soon as you come out of it you'll hop over a guy and then you'll be able to act again, and you can do that I think about 2 times before it even thinks about taking your combo off your aura, or before you'll probably have to act because people will get aggressive, and it's a really good way of getting a breather. And a couple of tips that I would convey to you early on is, if you've played the game before and you're going through on the New Game Plus, get good at using all your different gadgets during the fight, because it's going to benefit you in numerous ways. Not only will it make you better at the combat, but it'll also make doing the challenges much easier when it comes to getting the medals for fighting and so on, because each of the abilities that you now have access to are kind of hotkeyed to certain buttons. A lot of them involve holding the left trigger, and you can whip them out at any time and they will add to your combo meter. They'll also delay enemies from hurting you, and a really good one is the freeze grenade slash device that you get off of Mr. Freeze, and you double tap the right trigger to throw it out and it'll freeze a guy for about a minute or maybe longer, and I will always pretty much say freeze the guy you don't like fighting, because on New Game Plus you will come across people that have car doors when they didn't have car doors before. You'll come across a bunch of dudes with the electricity sticks, which are a fucking pain in the ass. I hate the electricity guys. There's a couple of knife people, but the knife people are nowhere near as prevalent as they were on the original game, and there's a lot of people in body armor. So whoever you're not confident in fighting, freeze them, focus on everybody else, and then come back to them. An important thing to note as well, when you do freeze somebody, that does make them vulnerable to attack regardless of the weapon that they are using, so that's something really useful. And just fight how you've always fought. For me, it's obviously based on rhythm, because if you have the critical hit ability, that means that as soon as you hit somebody, if you press attack and another direction to bounce into somebody else, you'll continue to build your combo really quickly. And I just kinda leapfrog from every enemy, and I just do them in a cycle, and if anybody gets too close, I counter. Always counter instead of attacking, because you cannot trust Batman to do the quick solution to the answer. Sometimes he'll do a spinning kick and you end up getting punched, and it's a pain in the ass. And on hard, you do take a little bit more damage than you normally would, especially with my life bar, which is the standard one. But that all being said, the only real challenging areas of the game are 3 really big fights. They're going to test your ability to, manage large groups of enemies without taking too much damage, and a couple of areas with the guns. But if you're using the upgrades to make your suit be more resistant to ammunition, to bullet rounds, you can probably fly through those areas a hell of a lot more quickly than I did. But I did find a couple of nice solutions for areas. A lot of them have been brought over from Arkham Asylum and my mentality that I used in that game. And one of the tools you're going to see me using a hell of a lot is the back claw, which is something that in this game it does not get embellished upon nowhere near as much as it did in the first one. You will never get the triple-pronged back claw, or if you can, I haven't picked it up, so I do apologise if that's right. I've blasted through this game in the space of 2 days, but I hope you can get it upgraded, because I really liked that. And the single one's pretty shitty when you're used to roping 3 guys at once, but my general strategy for taking down rooms stealthily is I use the inverted takedown from the gargoyles, because the gargoyles are your best friend, and I generally land on a platform that's across from the enemies where I'm just out of their eyesight line, and I will use the back claw to pull them off an edge, because if you can pull them off a 2-story fall, they will die every time. Sometimes they get caught on things, sometimes they'll get caught on stairs, and other times they'll not actually go over the banister, which is a massive pain in the ass, but that seems to be something built into this game. So these are the upgrades that I'm showing you now. I had points, and as you'll notice it says level up on the fucking screen, and I hate it, so I use these upgrades to get rid of the words early on. And I was actually going to try and do a no upgrade guide so that I wouldn't have any of the abilities, but I got so pissed off with the goddamn font bouncing on the top, because believe it or not, it blocks your radar. So when you're ever on task and you're out in Arkham City and you've got that lovely, compass at the top of the screen which shows you where your objective is, do you see it there with the green exclamation mark? Well, that level up insignia will block that, so you never know where the fuck you're going. So later on in the game, because I wanted to stay to the integrity of my guide, you'll notice I keep going to the menu to see where I'm about to head, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's something that the developers obviously didn't look into and didn't even contemplate, and that sucks. That sucks a lot. But here we are outside the courthouse where Harvey Dent's inside trying to boil Catwoman. This is your first real fight of the game where you can do all the moves you've been using in previous Batman games, and it's the first introduction to, not having those counter emblems and having to watch the enemies ever so slightly and all sorts of things like that. So you'll notice just there, I dropped my combo because I tried to do a counter and nobody attacked me. If you see anybody running towards you with intent, which is pretty much, they're coming for you, they're not standing defensively, that means he's going to attack. And that's the easiest way to tell when somebody's going to come for you. If more than one person does it, just bash counter and you'll counter them all. But aside from that, it's all down to your reflexes, it's all down to your familiarity. Oh, I can't say this word. How familiar you are with the system. Goodness me, let's work on that word in future commentaries. Familiarity. What the fuck was wrong with me? Anyhow, guys, here it is, the start of the guide. I hope it'll help the people that struggle. I hope you enjoy it if you're just here for entertainment value. But as always, thanks for watching, and you take care now.